It's a European automotive air conditioning convention. It's also held in Frankfurt following Automechanica, and there's quite a good turnout here. It's a bit like European wire and gas. There's lots of speakers here today and workshop demonstrations. They're going to have an S-Class with a CO2 system in it that we can have a look at, which will be fantastic.
I made a bit of a comparison with the wire and gas that VASA puts on every couple of years, but as you can see from the type of people at this event, most of them are wearing suits. They're industry figures rather than workshop owners and technicians. That was an interesting difference. But like wire and gas, there was some great networking in the evening, accompanied by some fantastic food.
Now I'm walking through the trade show aspect of the EAAC conference. Got the R744 Texa service machine here that we saw yesterday, Automechanica. Certainly do have plenty of exhibitors. Sister organisations like partners. Burger Flex will be familiar to VASA members.
Anyway, enough of that trade show. Let's head outside and look at this Mercedes with the CO2 system. AVL Die Test, better known for their scan tools, had their latest R744 CO2 servicing all-in-one machine hooked up to a prototype Mercedes S-Class.
Only an S350, so it's not like this technology is going to be restricted to the higher spec S-Class by any stretch. It certainly is attracting a lot of attention, and we were certainly very interested. There's not much you can see under the bonnet. It's a great deal different, although I have seen the R744 label under the bonnet, and you can see the service ports are a little bit different. The CO2 system seems to be a combination of Valeo and Sandon equipment. Valeo tells me that in Australian conditions we will really value the quick pull down times. It can cool your cabin down much quicker than 134A or YF, and the consumption is better when you're not in high ambient conditions, and they don't see any poor performance issues with high ambient conditions either. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how these systems go in the real world in Australia, but it seems at the moment that the OEMs are not worried at all.
Now we're going to look at the CO2 servicing machine demonstration. There's nothing really new here apart from the connectors and the fact that you can just vent the refrigerant straight to atmosphere.
Selecting that, you can also change, let me say, the oil quantity, whatever, as in conventional gases also, or you're starting, so you have 50 minutes of vacuum time. 50 minutes of vacuum time now, 1 minute of vacuum test. You're connecting HPLB, and yeah, that's it more or less. No? So go back, and then with this arrow you are starting. So start. You have connected that with 54 pounds.
It has a fan underneath it to make sure that you're going in high concentrations of CO2 that can cause safety issues, and there's also a CO2 sensor to make sure that we don't get unsafe levels.
Then it's time to evacuate the system, check it holds a vacuum, and then pump it full of CO2 once again. The demonstration on the Mercedes didn't really go into the high pressures or the safety aspects of working with CO2, but there was a separate presentation all about that. That presentation was made by Texa, the Italian firm who also makes an R744 servicing machine. And just check out this incredible promotional video. country that can make 16 valves sound sexy, an incredibly sexy video about a piece of workshop equipment. It's back to normal life, and the Marley Cool Efficiency Mercedes-Benz, featuring a lot of new technologies.
A bit like regenerative braking, this does a similar effect with the air conditioning compressor. There's two things it can do. In this particular car, there's an extra add-on pack to the evaporator which can store the cool temperature for up to a minute and a half, so that you can then keep cooling the cabin without running the compressor. The cheaper solution is just to put a load of liquid in the evaporator and have a similar effect. I don't think it would last as long. And it's all just run through software. There's no hardware changes required at all. And where the hardware changes are included in this car is an evaporator with flaps around it to reduce the amount of airflow over the evaporator to improve the efficiency.
Marley also spoke about an innovation called ICAS, which you can learn about in the following clip.
With ICAS, the engine charge air is cooled down with the air conditioning system. Especially in turbocharged gasoline engines with a small displacement, this networking approach translates into greater vehicle dynamics with the same low fuel consumption.
A number of presentations were also made about the future of cooling in general, including this one from Fiat Chrysler, in which they talk about the integration of various cooling circuits around the vehicle. The theory is, as more and more cars include electrification, such as hybrids and plug-in hybrids, there will be more cooling circuits, but by linking them together we can increase the efficiency and solve the problem of how to heat the cabin of an electric car when you don't have an internal combustion engine turning a lot of its energy into heat. Depending on who you spoke to, there were conflicting messages about the future of refrigerants. Is 1234 just a stepping stone technology destined to become the Betamax of the refrigerant world? One thing that was certain was that CO2 is definitely going to be the winner in heat pumps for electric vehicles. With much of the world now transitioning to electrified vehicles, demand for automotive heat pumps is guaranteed to rise. Sandon spoke about their developments with parking cooling systems for heavy trucks, while Denso highlighted the effects of poor servicing practices on the innards of an air conditioning system, and a reminder that not following the correct procedures will void the warranty on their compressors. In a similar vein, Bosch told the audience why they shouldn't put 134A in a 1234YF system. Michael Harris, who leads VASA's European counterpart Mac Partners, described some of the issues facing the European automotive air conditioning market, which, although it looks from afar at least squeaky clean, faces a lot of the same issues as we do here in Australia and New Zealand.
So it looks like 1234 is the way of the future, and the CO2 may fizzle out as air conditioning, but will really take off when it comes to heat pumps. Watch this space.